Hi guys. Though it's been a number of months, about 6 months, since I read this wonderful book, I have to admit I really don't find myself remembering a lot of what actually happened in it. But I remember laying in bed at night and it being so beautiful that it actually brought me to tears in several different parts, and thinking that it was really one of the best things that I've read in a long time. The fiction that I've been randomly pulling off my shelves to me has been really good this year, and this is one of the reasons why. It's called Ironweed by William Kennedy. Won the Pulitzer Prize in Literature in 82 or 83. This is part of William Kennedy's multi-volume Albany trilogy. What was then a trilogy probably would be better named a cycle now, since he's come out with a few more books in it. The subject didn't really immediately speak to me or interest me and sounded depressing, which it is. It's about a Depression-era man named Francis Phelan, who lives in Albany, New York, and who leaves his family in shame after accidentally dropping and killing his infant son. And he decides to leave his family and live on the streets. Live rough, as they say. The rest of the novel is about him meeting characters from his past, both alive and dead. In fact, one of the major themes is summed up by Kennedy in the first extraordinarily beautifully written paragraph of the book, which I want to read to you. Riding up the winding road of St. Agnes Cemetery in the back of the rattling old truck, Francis Phelan became aware that the dead, even more than the living, settled down in neighborhoods. The truck was suddenly surrounded by fields of monuments and cenotaphs of kindred design and striking size, all guarding the privileged dead. But the truck moved on, and the limits of mere privilege became visible, for here now came the acres of truly prestigious death, illustrious men and women, captains of life without their diamonds, furs, carriages, and limousines, but buried in pomp and glory, vaulted in great tombs built like heavenly safe deposit boxes or parts of the Acropolis. And ah, yes, here too, inevitably, came the flowing masses, row upon row of them, under simple headstones and simpler crosses. Here was the neighborhood of the Phelans. I was unable to put it down after those few gorgeous sentences. What that paragraph is about is, in a few words, what the whole book is about. The dead have a life, uniquely their own, which they sometimes use to haunt the living. And in fact, some of the major characters in this novel are already dead. James Atlas, in his review of Ironweed, said that Kennedy's cycle of Albany novels is one of the great resurrections of place in our literature, talking about the city of Albany, New York. And I can't help but agree. When you read this novel, it feels like you've been there. Or, I mean, it really makes the place and just the whole ambiance of the city, even though I've never been to Albany, New York, palpable. And Roger Towers, in the New York Times book review, said, "It's a kind of fantasia on the strangeness of human destiny, on the mysterious ways in which a life can be transformed and sometimes redeemed." Sometimes, despite all the mulling over what I read, I simply have to leave it to people who have the words to describe what they're reading. Better words than I have, certainly. So I'll just leave it to them. And I hope you go and read this. It's truly a spectacular book. Ironweed by William Kennedy.